Okay, good evening, guys. Welcome back. We'll be continuing with our Ansible session. So today is Ansible-Day 2 session, and the date is today is 20th of Jan 2025, and the timing is evening 9:04 p.m. IST. So, guys, in our first day session, the day one session, we had covered the basic aspect of what is a configuration management, right? So because we are learning Ansible comes under the configuration management category. So configuration management is something like where you want to do some kind of a installation onto an operating system. Installation means basically you want to install any packages or any kind of a software, right? Basically, we'll go and we'll try to install it. Similarly, if suppose if in case if you have some application which you want to deploy into the server, right? So again, the same thing. Want to install the server means you have to install onto the operating system itself. It means that when you are having an operating system, you have some tool where it will be called as an application server, right? So on top of the application server, we will be installing or we'll be deploying that application. So the configuration management, that is Ansible tool, is also used for even deploying the application, right? And also the server configuration or the application configuration. Say for example that you're having some kind of a server which is running in your some kind of an application server which is running in your operating system. Suppose in that application server, you want to go and you have to update some configuration. So again, what happened? Ansible is used, right? Similarly, Ansible is also used for uh, uh, updating any kind of an application configuration files also. Suppose an application is running where you want to do any kind of a changes or updation to the application itself, you have to do a config changes. Then again, Ansible tool or the configuration management tool is used. So we try to understand in the last session like what exactly the configuration management tool is all about. Before that, we started learning about the understanding about the DevOps CI/CD pipeline. We try to understand about what is continuous delivery and all, right? And we also saw that like when exactly the Ansible tool or the configuration management tool comes into the picture in the complete CD pipeline. You know that like when we create a package, so you have to go take that package and then you have to go and deploy that package into the target server or into the environment, right? So basically, you need some kind of a automation tool where with the help of the automation tool, you can go and deploy the package. And that is why with the help of a Ansible. So in the CI/CD pipeline, we know that where exactly Ansible fits into it, right? So post creation of the package. So once the build and package process completes, you will get a package out of it. And that package, what happened? You have to take that package and you have to deploy into the some environments, right? Say for example, you have a UAT environment, or you have a test environment, or you have a performance environment, performance test environment. There, in those environments, you have to go and deploy it. So Ansible comes into the picture when you are doing a continuous delivery or continuous deployment. Correct? So after that, we saw that what exactly configuration management tool is all about, and like basically it generally provides idempotency, right? It means that you run n number of time, you'll get the same result. And also we try to understand about the configuration management architecture, where there are two types of architecture. One is a pull based and another push based, right? So we also discuss both. What is the difference between pull and push, right? And in case of a pull based, your Chef, Puppet, many other tools comes into this category, and Ansible, which comes under the push based category. And we also saw the differences, and we need to understand these differences, guys, because like we have to know what exactly each and every architecture provides, right? Right? And there's nothing like no pull based is better than push based, something like both are having pros and cons actually. You cannot say that no, this is better than the other, right? Both are having the same set of features actually, right? So some tools follow the pull based and some tool follows the push based. After that, we try to understand about what are the Ansible job roles, and we will be morely concentrating on the DevOps related work, right? Not onto the network infrastructure management. So that is not in our course, right? That's not a scope, right? In our course curriculum. So we will not be discussing that. Anyhow, if I have some time at the very end, I will be discussing something on Ansible network models. Okay, let's see about that, but I will not commit anything as of now that I'll be covering it. So this is not part of our course actually. And at the end, I ask you to install some softwares and all. I hope that you have installed it. If not installed, anyhow, I will show the installation during the class session itself. So we'll be learning all these things, and it'll be a part of our upcoming sessions, right? So these are certain things, guys, which we had overall discussed on the day one, on the Ansible-Day-1 topic, right? So that was maybe not much into technical, but still, yeah, okay. But we try to understand what exactly Ansible tool is all about. It's a configuration management tool, and where it plays its role into the complete CI/CD pipeline that we understood, and what are the different types of architecture we have. This is what we had learned. Now, what we are going to cover up today in today's session. So today, let us try to understand about Ansible, something I can say components at a very high level, right? We will be learning about what is Ansible components are all about, and also we'll see how to install the configuration, the Ansible softwares into the servers and how we can communicate. All such things we are going to see in today's session. Is it fine, guys? So today I will be covering two important topics. One is an Ansible component at a very high level, and the second important is Ansible installation part. So these two things I think I'll be able to cover in next 1.5 hour class. Okay, if time permits, I will be covering many other things. Like for example, the next topic will be after this, there will be something like an Ansible model and also like add Ansible ad hoc commands. So those are the things which we have to cover in our upcoming sessions. I'll see if I try to start, I'll start it today itself, Ansible models. Okay, now, so guys, now whenever you come with the Ansible component, so what exactly the Ansible components are? So let us try to understand through pictures. So let me go to the Google and I'll just say server part. So for some days you'll see, guys, I will be referring to these images, or I'll be trying to have some images and everything. So this is our server. Okay, and let me take one more server. Anything like. Okay, so guys, here we are having three sets of servers actually here, right? And consider that this is a server where I'll be installing Ansible. So once you install an Ansible, right, this server will be called as an Ansible control node, or we can call it an Ansible control server. You can call any name. You can either call it a control node or a control server, Ansible control node or Ansible control server, right? Now, okay, this is a server where we'll be installing an Ansible. Apart from this, we have two more server. This we call it as a nodes actually. So this is the node, or this is what the servers where I'll be installing some package or I'll be deploying some application. So these are the target server or the end server where I'll be doing some operation on this server. Who will do that operation? Your Ansible control manager or control server will do an operation onto this server. So consider this as something like we use a generic word, something like a node 1, right? And this will be called as a node 2. So usually what happens, you use this terminology in Ansible. One is a Ansible control node or a control server, we say. And the next is that we have number of nodes and we'll call with the name as a nodes, node 1, node 2, node 3. Earlier we used to call the name as a minions, MINIONs. Now we are going to call as a nodes actually. Am I clear, sir? Now, whenever you are having, so whenever you want to have an Ansible to be installed, the prerequisite for the Ansible is that the prerequisite for Ansible, for installing Ansible, is that the server should have Python installed in it. So it means that, so whenever you are have to install the Ansible software into the server, before that a Python should be installed, right? And always Ansible will be only installed in a Linux distribution or in Mac OS. These are the only two operating system where your Ansible will get installed. Your Ansible will never get installed in Windows. It doesn't support on Windows, right? If you take Ansible, if you take a Linux distribution, you can take any distribution of Linux. Say, for example, you can take a Red Hat Linux and you can install, right? A Red Hat 8 or Red Hat 9 or whatever. Sorry, not Red Hat, RHL, sorry, RHL 8 or RHL 9. You can take any flavor of Linux distribution and then you can install it, or else you can even install an Ubuntu server, or you can even take a, suppose you're trying to do everything on Amazon, so you can choose Amazon Linux and you can install the Ansible over here, right? So this is something like where you will choose it actually. So in our entire course actually, or in our entire Ansible course, I'll be choosing Ubuntu, I think 24.02.
If we
Uh,
are not
uh,
able to open website, then we are in the trouble, guys. Otherwise,
guys, please mute yourself. So Ubuntu is a distribution which you'll be using. So Ubuntu 22 or 24.02, whichever the latest distribution is there, right? There I'm going to install it actually, right? So here, in this case, if you're having a Ansible server, okay, I can have a Ubuntu Linux or I can have a Red Hat or anything. So consider that I'm having a Ubuntu actually. So Ubuntu clipart or Ubuntu logo or whichever, right? So I can have a Ubuntu here installed into, or I can have a Ubuntu Linux distribution in this server, right? And off once you have a Ubuntu Linux distribution, then you can even install the Python also. Guys, nowadays what happened, right? Python logo, yeah. So you have to install Python also. But usually what happened, you take any latest Linux distribution, right? You take Ubuntu or you take a Red Hat or you take SUSE, you take Amazon Linux, all the Linux distribution. So latest Linux distribution, latest all Linux distribution, all Linux distribution, by default, Python will be installed. So you need not to explicitly install it actually. It will be installed. It means that when you choose any latest version of the Linux operating system, it has a Python inbuilt in it. Means that by default it comes along with the operating system image itself. So you need to explicitly go and install it. It will be there. So now when it comes to the Python, basically what happened, right? Earlier, very long back, used to have a Python 2 version. How you used to check in your operating system whether Python is installed or not. So for that, you need to run a command as a Python -fn version. So it will return saying that it has installed something like Python 2.7 or 2.8 version, something it is installed like that, it will show you, right? But what happened, the Python 2, what happened, right? The Python 2 is no more used, even like the python.org, the organization which managed the whole Python, www.python.org, right? That python.org organization itself has stopped supporting the version 2. So now what we are having is a version 3. So version 3, Python 3 version is recommended actually. So it recommended means all the people they tell you to use a Python 3 only now. So when you have a Python installed in your system, how to verify? The command to verify is nothing but you have to just simply type Python 3-fn version. If you tell like that, if you execute this command like that, this is the command to verify whether the command is whether the Python is installed or not. So it will show you saying that the Python 3.7 or 3. Whatever the version is installed in your system. Earlier, we used to use Python 2 version. Nowadays, nobody is using. We are all are into Python 3 now. So people are using Python 3 only. Even this Ansible, whatever it is installing, the latest Ansible, it supports on Python 3. Right. So Python should be there. Again, the question why Python should be there. What is the prerequisite for the Python? Basically, guys, why we need it? Because Ansible is written in Python language. Is written in Python language. So that's the reason what happened, right? Before you install the Ansible, you need to make sure that Python is installed. If Python is not installed, what Ansible will do? Ansible file will first will check it if there is any Python is there or not in the system. If it is not there, then Ansible itself will install the Python version, and then finally Ansible will get installed. So like that. So what are the prerequisite requires, right? It automatically installs if it doesn't have. But still what happen as an end user, we'll make sure that Python first it should be installed. And then on top of that, Ansible should be installed. So now here, as per the diagram, so what I was saying that first you should have a Linux operating system, that is Ubuntu. What are the latest version, 22 or 24.02, whatever the version we have, we'll take that one. On top of it, we should have a Python, but by default, as I said, Python comes along with the operating system, you know what explicitly say. So later what happened, right? You have to go and install the Ansible. So you have to go and install the Ansible, right? Ansible. So this is the official logo of Ansible, right? You have to go and install the Ansible like this. Am I clear on this, sir? So now this is what the set. So this, what are the Ubuntu I'm using? This could be any Linux distribution. Say for example, it could be a Red Hat, it could be a Linux, Amazon Linux, or it could be Ubuntu, or it could be SUSE, right? It could be any other flavor of Linux. Like for example, you have a CentOS or Fedora or CentOS 7 or 8 or whichever flavor of Linux is there, that you can use it. And then the rest is same actually. Python should be there, and on top of that you can install Ansible. But you have to you but what is the question here, that whether instead of Ubuntu can I have a Windows here? No, Windows you cannot have, right? Right, because Windows doesn't work. Ansible will not get installed onto the Windows actually. That's what Windows is not recommendable to be used. Maybe in the near future you will see that Ansible will also start supporting on Windows also, right? But today, as of now, it is not supporting it, right? So now this is what it is actually. Now here you have, once you have configured everything, basically what happened, right? These are the nodes where you will be doing some kind of a deployment or some kind of an installation of the package or the software or whatever the configuration management which an end user want to do onto these nodes, right? These are those servers actually. So right now here I'm showing only two servers. In the real time, it could be 10, it could be 100, it could be 1,000. N number of servers will be there in an organization where you want to apply the configuration, or else you have to deploy some software or the package, or you want to do some other operation onto the operating system. So you might have N number of servers in the data centers where you want to do some operation onto the server. So Ansible is the best tool which you use to do all the operations, this all operation on all these servers actually, right? So how it does everything, we'll see. Anyhow, we have to see all those things in our upcoming sessions, but just understand that, okay, Ansible control manager or the node is the one which is going to do all kind of a deployment or installation of the softwares or upgradation of any kind of a package or even configuration changes, all apply. Everything is taken care by your Ansible server. Now here, considering the nodes here, this node can be anything. It could be a Windows, it could be Linux, it could be Mac OS, anything. So there's no restriction that actually only Linux should be there. So this node can be anything. Say for example, this node 2 will be a Windows operating system. Assume that, like, let us see that in the node 1, it is a Red Hat server. This is the Red Hat server. So this system, node 1, is a Red Hat based Linux. It means that here you have installed the Red Hat Linux, right? And this Windows 2 will be your Windows, the node 2 will be your Windows operating system. So this could be anything, right? This could be anything. But your Ansible server should always be a Linux machine. It cannot have a Windows machine, right? Like this. Am I clear on this, sir? Till here?
Yes,
Fine.
sir.
Now, whenever this Ansible server, it want to communicate with this node 1 or node 2. So how the server can communicate each other? Now, usually what happened in Linux operating system or in the Unix or Linux environment, suppose you have two systems. If both the system want to communicate each other, so they can communicate each other with the help of a username and the password actually. So it means that, suppose assume that this is node 1 n1 and this is node 2 n2. This is a second server node 2. If n1 want to communicate on n2, so n1 should have the information about the username and the password of n2, right? Then only what happened, right? The n1 can communicate to the n2. So how again what happened, right? Because we will say, okay, both these servers, node 1 and node 2, should be the same network. So if they are in the same network, then only they'll be able to communicate to each other. If both the servers N1 and N2 are in some different network altogether, okay, there is no chance of communicating, right? So there's no chance of commit, or else you have to do many other setup you have to do to configure it. You need to set up a gateway, and you need to set up an endpoints for communication. All such things are there. But assume that in a layman term, suppose if you have to have two servers, and if both the servers want to communicate each other, then they have to be in a same network. So if they're in the same network, right, it can communicate each other, it can able to reach out from one to other, and how it can communicate always with the help of a user the password. So these are first a basic thing. So whenever this node, Ansible control node or Ansible control server, if it want to communicate with node 1 and node 2, it can communicate via the help of a user and the password only. That's the first way. Or else, is there any other way? Yeah, there are many other ways are there, right? For example, username, the password is there. What other name? You can even communicate to the username and the key actually. And keys we say, or we can say key pairs we say. So basically, key pair is something like where you have a something known as a public key and a private key. So in the real time, right, whenever these two Linux machine or two machines, which are mostly the Linux flavored machine, if they want to communicate each other, usually they use this username and the key pair always. So in the real time, always the communication happen with the username with the key, not with the password. So password, we don't use it much. Okay, we'll only use with the key. So the second method of communicating between one server to other server is with the help of a username and the key. This is what most widely used across organization. Even we also use the same method for communicating each other. So what is this public key, private key and all, how it helps in communication or how exactly it helps in authentication, we'll see it in later session. Don't worry. But right now understand that these are the two methods are there. Or what are the other methods? Do you have any other methods? There are many other methods are there. You can even communicate with something known as a secret key is there. Through a secret key, you can communicate with the user with the secret key. You can communicate. You can even communicate with the passwordless communication also. Passwordless authentication is also there. So how to do a passwordless authentication, all such things, we'll be seeing it actually, right? So there are many methods are there, guys, through which one server can communicate with each other. But the ground rule is that actually both should be there in the same network. It means that both the servers should be able to reach out. It means that if node 1 want to communicate with node 2, it can just directly send one message. To verify it, basically what you do, we use something as a ping. If you try to use a ping utility, or if you use a ping command, this is a networking command, right? Network based command. If you try to do a ping and you specify the server name like N2, the ping should successfully get executed. If it is able to execute it successfully, this command, it means that it is able to reach from this node to the other node. Same thing if you are pinging from here, if you're sitting and if you're pinging to N1, ping N1, it should be able to communicate. So if both are able to communicate, it means that both the servers they are able to reach and they can have a communication. So once a communication is established, how they can do a communicate with the help of the user and the password only. This is what it is. Now, when it comes to the Ansible control node or control server, whenever this Ansible control server, it want to communicate with a node 1 or it want to communicate with node 2, how it can communicate with node 1 and node 2? The Ansible is able to communicate with the help of something we call it as an inventory. What do you call? We call it as an inventory. So this is what we call as an inventory. Oh, sorry. What is it? What happened, man? Oh, I think, sorry, I'm using white color, right? Yeah, inventory. So there is something with the inventory. So with the help of an inventory, what happened? The Ansible control server or the control node can communicate with the node 1 and node 2. So what this inventory, basically it is something like a host file where it maintains the host name or IP address, anything it could be, right? Host name or the IP address is maintained inside this inventory file. So always Ansible will refer to this inventory file, right? So there are two types of files, inventory files are there. One we call the static inventory and other we call as a dynamic inventory. What is static and dynamic, we'll see later. But right now consider that with the help of this either static or dynamic static inventory or dynamic inventory, this Ansible control node can able to communicate with the node 1 or node 2 or node 3. So all the details about the server username and the passwords are maintained in these inventories. Or at least it maintains the host name or the IP addresses. If not username and password, at least it maintains this. So with the help of this inventory file only, the Ansible control node can communicate with this to these servers. Am I clear on this, sir, till here? Do you have any doubts? Arvind, Chanakya, Dev, Mahesh, sir, Sanjay, Vinod?
No, sir.
Yeah, so this Ansible control node can communicate with any of this server with help of inventory file only. So inventory file is something like a host file. You can consider that as a host file. What is this host file and all? So what is this host file? We will see later. Right. So it's a host file actually. Host file. And inventory, there are two types are there. One is a static inventory, other is a dynamic inventory. Again, what is the difference and all? We will see it later. But this is very important because even from the interview point of view also, they might ask you, do you know about what is dynamic inventory? Can you tell about how dynamic inventory works in Ansible? Very common question which has been asked, right? And what are the contents of the static inventory? What are the things which you can pass through static inventory, right? Can you pass a variable in the static inventory file? Yeah, you can do it actually. But is it recommended way? Not really. It is not recommended way. But one of the way of passing the variable to Ansible is through the static inventory file also. Right? Or is there any other way? So there are multiple things are there, guys, which we'll be learning in our upcoming future. So we will know the importance of these files and everything. Right? Now, whenever this Ansible server, it want to communicate with this node 1 or node 2, okay, there is something in Ansible, we call it as a playbook file. What do we call? We'll be call it as a playbook file. So we will be writing a playbook file. What is this playbook file? Again, we'll see it later in some point of time. Don't worry now. As of now, you understand that it is what is a playbook file? Is something like it is something like you can say that it's a declarative way to, I can say, define configuration steps like this. So whenever you want to define some configuration steps which has to be executed in this node 1 or in node 2, then in that case, we need to write a playbook file. We need to write a playbook file. It is something like, assume that this is nothing but the node 1 Red Hat. Assume that you want to install some software, right? For example, I want to install the HTTP software. So what you will do basically, suppose I'm just taking an example of Red Hat only. So in Red Hat, okay, in a Red Hat distribution, suppose assume that, I'm just telling you, suppose assume that I want to install something like a tree package, something I'm taking a tree package, and also I want to install the HTTP package. So how you'll install this, you'll just use a sudo yum install tree -y, sudo yum install httpd-y. So basically, these are the commands which will be executing into this Red Hat machine so that these two packages, tree and HTTP, will get installed in that system. Now, you're doing it manually with the help of a Linux command. So this is the yum business, but it's a package manager. This is a package manager command. So these days, guys, earlier we used to use yum, but these days what happened, right, in Red Hat, actually, basically, you can install the package either through yum command, and there's one more latest we call the DNF. Even you can use a DNF command to install the package. So consider that I'm still using yum itself. So if I want to install the package, I always use a sudo yum install and specify the package name and say -y. You can say -y, or you can even say -yes. Anything you can tell. So this is a command we use it actually. Now the point here is that actually when I'm executing these commands, I have to use the Linux commands. Suppose the same thing I want to do an operation with the help of an Ansible. I want to install these two packages, yum and tree, into the Red Hat, but through the Ansible. Then through the Ansible, you need to write something as a playbook file. So with the help of a playbook file, you will declare a way to define the configuration. So both these commands, whatever you are installing, right, to the Linux, the same thing if I want to write a playbook file, then you need to write something in the playbook file. We call it as a task set. What we say, we call it a task. With the help of a task, you can explicitly tell to Ansible server that what need to be done. It means that suppose you want to install these two commands, two packages, tree and HTTP, in a task which is inside the playbook file, you'll be telling in the task itself what you have to install it actually. So anyhow, we are not really getting into very much detail in the playbook as of now only. After 1 or 2 sessions, maybe today's day 2, in the day 3 or day 4, not and day three, and at least in a day four, we will start with understanding what is a playbook, what is the syntax, what is a YAML format, why you need to write a YAML file or JSON file for writing a playbook. All such things we'll be learning very soon, but not in today's class. So anyhow, I'm just telling you that whenever this Ansible control server or the control node, it want to communicate with the node 1 and node 2, it can communicate via with the help of a playbook file only. So is there any other way apart from playbook file, whether it communicate? Yeah, it can even do something we call as a Ansible ad hoc command. So the help of ad hoc command also, like the communication between the Ansible control node to this node 1 happens or node 2 happens, or even with the help of a playbook file, right? So how exactly the Ansible can communicate with this node 1, node 2 with the help of a ad hoc command, Ansible ad hoc command, and the second method is through the playbook file. Am I clear on this, sir, till here? So now what happened? You came across something with the some important terminologies. One is something like an inventory. Okay. So there's something like an inventory which is maintained by the Ansible itself. So that inventory is nothing but which we call it as a static inventory. And that inventory, inside the inventory, it maintains the host name or the IP address of these servers. Like here we are having node 1, node 2. So node 1's host name or the IP address will be managed in this inventory. Even the node 2 IP address or the host name will be maintained in this host, in this inventory file. And this inventory file, which we call the static inventory, right? So Ansible control server or the control node. So I'll always say from now Ansible control server. So Ansible control server, whenever it want to communicate to the node 1, it has to refer to this host file or the inventory file. It has to get to know about what is an IP address of this server, right? It will get to know, and then only what happened, with the help of a user and the password through which it is configured, the Ansible control server will try to connect to this node 1 and it does the operation, or it will apply or it will do some kind of an operation. Same thing, whenever the control manager or Ansible control node, it want to communicate to the node 2, it again refers to the inventory file, and then like whatever the information it has. Say for example, it get the information about this server's IP address, okay, or the host name, and it also understand the user and the password. With the help of that username and the password and with the host name, your Ansible control node or the server, it try to connect to this node 2 and it applies that configuration, or it will execute certain tasks. This is how normally the communication happens, right? So here I'm telling you again that whenever the server is communicate with the node or node 2, it should always communicate. It can communicate with the help of a username and the password. But is username and the password is secure? In today's world, no, it is not secure. So which is secure, little bit more secure, and which allows all kind of encryption or decryption when it is communicating. That is via with the help of user and the key. So whenever using user the key, always like you will maintain that encryption and decryption method. So the help of the encryption decryption, you will maintain a lot of security when the communication happen between the Ansible server to the node actually. So hence in the real time, we'll always use the username with the key pair only. That is about the public key and the private key. And there are other methods are there, as I said, right? Secret key is also the secret file is there through which you can communicate. And again, the best way is that the passwordless communication. Yeah. So suppose the Ansible control server the node, it want to communicate the node 1 or node 2, but without any password at all. So with the help of a user only, it can log into the server and can do it. So that is something we call it as a passwordless authentication. So is it really required for the password authentication in the real time? Is it required? Yes, sir, it is required, because whenever you want to achieve a full automation or the complete automation, then you have to make sure that this server can log into the server without anything, without even typing or without giving any input of password. Directly, it should be able to log in. So some kind of an authentication method you have to establish so that this server, or not but Ansible server, it can able to log into this node 1 or node 2 without any password. So it means that whenever that such kind of a communication happen without password, it means that you can do any kind of an automation, right? It means that suppose you want to install some software package, the Ansible server can communicate with this node 1, node 2, or it can directly log into the server and it can just run any kind of a command, right? Or it can execute any kind of a configuration file, or it can even run any kind of a script to make sure that any kind of a setup what you need in this node 1, node 2 can be done by the Ansible server. Am I clear, sir? So I hope that you got the context, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, just to tell you, like for example, you say that Rajesh, you are saying something known as an Ansible playbook file. Okay, is it really for us? Is it that we need to understand the Ansible playbook file? Yes, sir. Ansible playbook file is a heart. It's a heart of your Ansible. It means that whenever you want to do any operation, you have to write a playbook file, right? So can I achieve everything to the Ansible ad hoc command? Whatever I want to do, can I do it? Yes, sir, you can do it. But there are some limitations are with the Ansible ad hoc command. You cannot achieve everything through Ansible ad hoc command. So hence you have to always go to the playbook file only. There is no other choice. So an end user or not but the DevOps engineer, whenever he want to do a complete automation, end-to-end automation, he want to do it, then he has to write an Ansible playbook file. So there's no other way. You cannot achieve everything to a command line. That's not possible. Up to some extent, you can achieve certain things, but beyond that, you don't have any control over that. I mean that the ad hoc command, Ansible ad hoc command, will not give that kind of a flexibility for the end user so that he can achieve everything through a command only. No, you cannot do it. You have to end up working or learning or writing a playbook file only. So what we have to do, all our Ansible course, the whole Ansible course itself is that we will always be writing a lot of playbook file actually, a lot of playbook file. Like just to tell you an example, assume that I want to write a playbook file. So we are not really learning about the playbook file now, guys. Just to see the way I write the playbook file. Say, for example, I want to write some playbook file. You just see the structure. I think some of you already know it, but still. So I'll open a new tab and let me select the language of YAML, right? See how I'll write it. Three dashes. It means that always, whenever I write a playbook file, always it starts with three dash. So don't worry, guys. Now just listen to me what I'm saying because we'll revisit this playbook file. I'll be telling from the very basic onwards. You need not to really worry much about now, right? Just see how I'm doing. Hyphen name colon something install utilities something say become less hosts all tasks name something install tree. There is one model by name package. We'll be using this name get, sorry, not get tree and state is present. Type a name. Something download the file, anything. Download the file. There's a model, something like a file. Okay, you have something URL. You give some URL, something HTTPS colon double slash dot 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 dot. Some file is a something like test.zip is there. So this you want to download from this URL. So destination is something under the temp. You want to download that test.zip file. So now guys, this is what the playbook look like. Even though we don't know anything about syntactically, I don't know anything about what is a playbook file is all about. Right? I don't know the syntax also. I don't know what kind of a rule. But are you able to understand something here? Okay, you are doing something like installing the package tree and with the help of a tree command. Is it not something like how you will be doing it? So if say for example you want to install a tree package. So I'm using yum command, yum install tree-y in the Windows. Sorry, in our Red Hat or Red Hat distribution. So similarly, I want to install some Apache. I use a yum sudo yum install httpd. So am I not doing the same thing over the Ansible here? With the help of a playbook file, something I'm not really completely understanding, but okay, something you're giving a package name, you're using some model by name package, okay, and you're providing the name something like a tree as a package name, and then you're saying state as a present. It's something like you want to install it, right? Similarly, you have one more having something like a task means that download the file, and you are giving a file model. Inside it, you are having something like URL. You need to specify the complete URL of from where you need to download it, and then destination where it should be downloaded. Once you have a URL, this test.zip file where it has to download, you are providing a destination path information. So it means that here, guys, we are trying to understand something about that. Okay, this is what the playbook file is. And there is some syntax is involved. Here I'm giving some spaces, something. I'm using something like a task. I'm using something like host, become, name. What is it all about? We'll be seeing in our upcoming sessions. Right? This is a very simple example I've written. Later we will see that, okay, we'll be writing a lot of complex playbook file. We'll be doing a lot of things in a playbook file. Your playbook file will go more than 100 line or 150 lines of code, right? And in all our upcoming sessions, will also be something where I will be using something known as a roles. I'll be learning about roles. I'll be learning something like a Jinja templating. So there are many things are there, guys, which would be doing in the Ansible paper. So, right. So this is what we will be learning in our all our maybe after 15th or 16th session, or more than 50. After 15th session, you will see that I'll be starting this topic of roles, how to write a roles and all. So that is very interesting. And even Jinja templating tool also like that. There are many things are there. This is what they'll be asking in interview. Have you converted your playbook file into the roles? Have you used anything like a Jinja templating? This is what in interview they'll ask you. So you have to tell it what is Jinja templating, what is role about, how to write a role. There is sometimes Ansible galaxies there which we'll be discussing. Not now, guys. I don't want to really tell everything now itself. So you'll not be able to understand also. So Ansible galaxy is something which we'll be learning in our all our upcoming sessions. Am I clear, sir? So till here, do you have any doubts so far? No?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, let us write a notes now. So it's good that. So now here, whatever you're doing, guys, this is Ansible control node or the right or server, which or this is something like node one and node two, right? So ultimately together we call it as a node only. Either it could be Ansible control node or node one. It's all considered as a node only, right? So now let us see that. So what is the high level? This is the high level components and we have understood this. Let us write a proper notes now so that we will be able to understand it. So nodes. So what are the two nodes types you have, guys? One is nothing but an Ansible node or Ansible control node. So what is Ansible control? This is a system where we install Ansible, which is built on Python, right? And this has to be a Linux system or Linux instance. You cannot install the Ansible onto the Windows, right? Am I clear, sir? Okay. Now, and again, what happened, right? Apart from this, you have something like a nodes or node, we say, right? This is the system where we deploy the application or package or install packages or softwares, whatever you say. This can be Linux as well as Windows. On Linux node, Ansible expects Python to be available or Python to be installed. Even in nodes also, like for example here, I think I missed it out. Here, even this node or node 2 also, the basic requisites, the prerequisites that the Python should also be there in this node 1 also. Here also, Python should be there. Without the Python, Ansible cannot communicate with this node 1 or node 2. Python has to be there. So prerequisite for everything is that in every system, in every set of system, it could be controls node or it could be control server or it could be a node 1, node 2, node 3. Everywhere the Python should be there. That's a very, very basic prerequisite. And these are a very light software, guys. There is nothing like a very hard thing to install it. Python is by default comes along with an operating system itself. You need to really explicitly install it, and then you have to only install the Ansible. And Ansible is a very lightweight package. It hardly takes some few MBs to be installed, and it'll less than 1 or 2 minutes. The Ansible installation will get completed. So installing Ansible and configuring everything is a dead easy process actually. If you ask me in DevOps, in a complete DevOps, which is the easiest way of installing anything, one is a Git. Simply sudo yum install the Git or sudo apt-get install Git. It'll install the Git software or it'll install the Git package. And the next, which I'm seeing very simple, is nothing but your Ansible. Apart from that, there are many other that, like for example, you have a Jenkins, you have a Chef is there, or else you have a Kubernetes is there, a Docker is there. So there you need to follow some more steps to configure, install, and everything. But here in this case, only one line of installation of the Ansible. If you try to learn 1 or 2 lines of command, right, it'll install all the Ansible and it'll the system will be ready actually. So installation is quite very very simple. So you can practice a number of time, right? Okay, come back here. Okay, what has it said that on Linux node Ansible expects Python to be installed, right? Yeah. So apart from this, what all we have discussed? Uh, yeah, inventory, right? So what is an inventory? So inventory, this is This is a list of servers where we where we want to deploy application. Right, this is what it means, that usually your Ansible control server will maintain this inventory. And inventory, as I said, there are two types. One is a static and dynamic. We'll be seeing all these things. But usually this inventory will maintain the IP address or the host name of this servers where you'll be doing all kind of a deployment of the application, right? Or the installation of software, right? So that is maintained by the inventory file actually. So usually we have a file, a generic file by name host file. We'll have a name by name host. So in that server, in that file, and it's inside that file only, you will be maintaining that IP address or the host name or whatever, right? So this is what you'll be managing in the inventory file. This we call the static inventory file, right? And apart from that, what we had understood, just I'm really giving everything in a very high level, right? That's what I'm not really going much in detail. So Playbook, this is the deployment. I can just say this is the deployment expressed in declarative format, and usually the format will be YAML and even JSON also, right? It could be any format. Usually what happens in our organization, we use most of the time, 99% of the time, all the playbook files are written in YAML format only. So whatever we have written this format, now this one, this is in a YAML representation. This is in a YAML format. So if I copy it and here if I paste it like this, right, YAML format. So guys, what is this YAML and JSON format? I will have a separate session on this. Don't worry. So we have something known as a YAML format, YAML JSON format. Okay, JMAS path we say. Okay, and we have something like a JQ, YQ, right? JSON query, YAML query we say. So these are all the formats we say, right? Formats means that, right? This is the format. This is the format we follow to represent the data. That represents the software database. So earlier, you know that we had something like an XML format. So XML format was one of the very standard formats which was used for communicating between the two servers. So whenever the two servers want to communicate each other, it can communicate each other with the help of a XML format of way of formatting the data. So with the help of an XML formatting, a communication was happening. But what happened due to some other reasons where XML takes a lot of data translation, right? It needs a lot of bytes of memory for translating it. So it was huge costing, right? So hence what happened, now people came with something like YAML or JSON representation of data, which is very lightweight and it is very easy to write it also. So hence what happened, many companies, organizations, they started using this YAML and JSON format representing of the data. So even we also use it. Most of the DevOps tool, 99% of DevOps tool, let it be Kubernetes, let it be Docker, let it be Ansible, let it be any kind of a DevOps tool, most of the tools will support both these formats, YAML and JSON format. Even for example, in AWS, we have something like the cloud formation templating. Cloud formation templating is written in a JSON format. Kubernetes is written in the YAML format, right? Ansible is written in the both. It can be written in either JSON or YAML. Anything you can write. So I will take a separate one session on that, guys. One and a half hour session where I'll be explaining about what is this data formatting is all about. Am I clear, sir? Till here, right?
Yep.
Now, yeah, yeah. Someone has had a doubt? No. Okay, sure. Now, what are the other things we have to learn, guys? So we'll try to learn about the ways of working with Ansible. Right. Now, guys, whenever you want to work with an Ansible, what is a golden rule? What is a golden rule you have to follow? It is applicable for everyone. Anyone want to learn Ansible? What's the first thing you have to follow? So that we call the golden rule. Okay, and also we need to we need to religiously practice this. Without this, what happened? You will not be able to learn Ansible at all. Suppose I want to learn Ansible in a very well way, or I want to really understand. So it means that you need to follow some golden rule. What is that golden rule, or what is the really religious practice we follow? So usually, guys, we know that, right? Whenever you want to follow our religion, right? We religiously practice it, whatever it is written in our books, right? So why we do that? Because if you are born in that religion, so we said, okay, you need to practice all the best practices you have to follow. Same thing when you're learning Ansible or any tool, actually, it has its own golden rules. You have to follow that. So what is a very, very golden rule for you to learn the Ansible? The golden rule is that actually that whenever you are trying to learn Ansible, first before writing a playbook file or anything, right? First you need to list out all the manual steps to install or configure your application. Say for example, I'm just taking an example. Assume that okay, I'm having some server. This is my server. So where sorry, this is my server. Okay, this is server where I need to install. I need to install the Apache Tomcat or the Apache Tomcat. I'm just telling you an Apache Tomcat, and finally deploy the web application, or that is another but the .war uh, file actually. You want to deploy it. So what you will do, guys, you will follow some steps, right? You will follow some step. It means that firstly you have to go and install an Apache Tomcat into the server. So what you will do, basically you'll go to the Google and you'll just say how to install Apache Tomcat in Ubuntu or in Linux, anything. So you will get a lot of steps, actually a lot of good articles you'll get. You can either follow the DigitalOcean article or else you can even follow the TechMint article. These are some two important, all these are same thing, guys, but I usually follow these two articles very well. For example, this is the TechMint, this is one beautiful articles, and also something like a DigitalOcean. So if you follow this religiously, or if you follow these steps, right, all the steps, whatever they're given, these steps, one after the other, if you follow it, these steps, right? See, there are so many steps are there. When you follow it, finally you'll see that the Tomcat will be installed in your system. So they will tell you all the steps actually. So it means that you have to take this and you have to manually, you should have a Linux server. It could be Ubuntu, it could be Red Hat or anything. Just follow religiously these whole steps, right? There's all the steps, then Tomcat server will be installed. Once the Tomcat server will be installed, how to deploy the WAR file into the Tomcat server, even that also they have given the step actually. So if you come down, they would have given, or else you have to find one more article where you have been installing it, right? So now what I'm trying to tell that actually that you are doing it everything manually, right? It means that you understood the whole steps, all the commands. Basically what you do that, you have noted down all these commands. This you have noted down also, okay, I have to go and install, I have to create this file. So many steps have been given, which will be following. See, I have to create a directory like this, I have to do a wget, then again I have to do a wget actually, and then like you have to do a cat and you have to run an md5 command, md5 some check command you have to, right? And also have to do the something like a cat of Apache, this md5, and afterwards what you do, you have to unzip this and you have to do cd. So you're following this step by step process actually. So it means that you are following some kind of a commands or the steps actually. So now you have been told that, okay, whatever you did so far to deploy an Apache Tomcat manually and also to deploy the application, can you do everything to the Ansible? Can you do everything to the Ansible playbook file? Can you write an Ansible playbook file for doing all the steps? You will say yes. Now what happened? You are already aware of all the steps, whatever you have done so far, because you have did manually everything, because every line by line. So now what is your duty or task is to convert the steps, what are the steps you're following manually, into the task actually. When you're writing a playbook file, you will be converting all the manual steps commands, manual steps, all the Linux manual steps into the tasks actually. So now guys, so it means that suppose you have never did it manually, you have never installed at all. Can you think that, can you go and directly write a playbook file? You might write it, no doubt, no problem in that. But what happened? There is no guarantee that the Ansible playbook file will run or it get executed, because you might have not addressed many other things which you could have easily found out when you're doing it manually. So when you're doing it manually, you know the whole step of installing that Apache Tomcat, as well as how to deploy an application. You did it everything manually. You know all the steps, and also you know the challenges or some kind of a issue which you have faced, right? How to fix everything. You know all the steps, everything. But if you think about that, if you are not did it manually at all, and you're directly going and writing a playbook file. You say that, okay, I know the command, but I will write it. Somewhere what happened, your playbook might not run at all. It might fail it. Then you have to come it. So they have to go and you have to fix that issue. So there are two things are there. Now what happened when you try to install, when you directly write a playbook file for installing the Apache Tomcat, no doubt you might write a playbook file, but assume that if it is failing, if the playbook file will fail, definitely will fail. Now it is very difficult to triage whether it's a syntax issue of your playbook itself or the step what you've written is wrong, or else it's an issue with an operating system itself, Linux itself. There could be some missing things is there which, for which what happened, Ansible is not able to resolve it, right? So it means that there in that case what happened, you need an intelligence of Linux now. So once a person who knows Linux, how to fix it, he knows that, okay, there is some missing things are there, which I have to first fix it in Linux. Then only the playbook will run. Otherwise, playbook will not run. So there in that case, what happened, right? Whoever has did it manually, he would have caught all those important steps or something like you could have installed, you could have configured everything. Then only finally, once he's satisfied with everything, right, then only he start writing a playbook file. So never ever think, guys, whenever you write a playbook file, never ever try to think that my playbook file has to be run at the first shot itself. It should get passed. No, it should not, it shouldn't happen like that. Then in that case, what happened? What are the tasks you will be given to you? Do you think that you're going to write everything at the first shot itself? You're going to write everything correctly? No. You will find a lot of hurdles. You'll find a lot of difficulties, or you'll find a lot of issues while running a playbook file. Slowly, one by one, you have to fix that issue, right? So how you can achieve that over a period of time, you will achieve, not on the first day itself. Today you might know something, day after tomorrow, some other day you will be writing some small playbook file. After some days you will be writing very complex playbook files, right? And many times you will be writing a lot of models, your own models only you will be writing. So day by day, when you start working on Ansible more and more, you will get to know about the art of writing a playbook file, how to use the models and all, and how you can write any complex playbook file, everything. All right, everything you can do it. So that what happened, right? And once some point of time you'll get where you will know whole thing of working of Ansible. So that day what happened, right? When you are aware of everything about that, then you can write any kind of a playbook file, right? Whenever any manual task is given to you, now you know how to convert into tasks. So the task is something like which is inside the playbook file. You'll be writing a task. So the golden rule, what I'm trying to tell you here, that the list out all the manual steps to install configure. That is the first golden rule. What's the second golden rule? Execute them manually. This is what I'm saying. Execute them manually. And once they are working, and check whether and check they are working. So once this is done, finally what happened, that you try, oh my God, try converting each step, converting each steps into the Ansible tasks. Am I clear on this, sir, till here? This is what the golden rule, or you need to religiously practice. That's all. Religiously, why I'm saying, because religiously practice. Because you shouldn't go and directly write a playbook file. That doesn't work out. You have to first draw, or you have to first do everything manually, get satisfied with all the steps, check it, everything is working fine. Now you can start converting all the steps, whatever you have executed manually, you can do through a playbook file or through the task and implement it. Am I clear on this, sir? Do you have any doubts still here? I hope that you understood. Right. So once you're doing all these things, right, then you'll get an idea about how to optimize also. Finally, if you're expert, you have become expert. Finally, you can even optimize. So this is something which you'll be seeing at the very end, how to optimize the things, how to make your playbook more and more robust. It's not only that your team is using the Ansible playbook file, right? They'll be using your playbook file be used by some other team in some other team also, right? Not in your section, right? And you will become more and more intelligent. You will say that, okay, today, what happened, whatever the playbook file which I have written, it is used by my team, and even it is used across my organization also. But tomorrow I want to make sure that my playbook file has to be executed by anyone in the world. It's not only me or my organization, anyone in the world, he want to make use of my playbook file. Then how to do that? That is something we call as an Ansible Galaxy. That's what I told you, right? Already earlier. Ansible Galaxy is something like where what are the playbook file which you wrote, right? That will become a universally accepted. Anyone can make use of your playbook file to achieve their tasks, right? then you have to follow something like Ansible Galaxy. That and all, it's a very end topic. The last 2 to 3 days of our course, right, will be covering this Ansible Galaxy topic. Am I clear on this till here? Sounds interesting? Can we see now how what are the steps to install it now? Guys, can we see? Okay, let's see the. So this is the golden rule. You have to follow it. That's what I said. That very very religiously. I'm saying that please follow it, and it's always the best way. Ansible setup, right? How to do an Ansible setup. So guys, for doing this Ansible setup, I will be using some cloud accounts. So I will be using cloud accounts actually. Why I'm using cloud account? Because I need servers. I need a virtual machines, right? So to show all these practicals, everything, I have to have some servers. Either I can have a VMware workstation or the Sun VirtualBox virtualization software installed in my laptop. I could have that one, and in my laptop only I could have created some 2 or 3 virtual machines and showed you all the setups and everything, right? And showed you all the examples. That is also fine. But in today's world, do you think that all the things will happen in the through the virtual agent through your local system? No, all the things happen nowadays. Everything is happening in the everything in the cloud itself. So it is always better that the day when you start learning on cloud very soon, so you'll realize that how important is the cloud in today's time, because all activity, all kind of deployment, all kind of virtual machine creation, storage creation, networking, everything is happening in the cloud itself. So the days are gone where everything is installed in on premises. So now we are no more in the on premises. We are all are into the cloud, and most of our applications, everything works on the cloud only, right? You take Amazon Prime, you take Swiggy, you take Flipkart, you take any e-commerce application. All these applications are lively learning, or you take even Netflix also. All these applications are lively learning, running onto the cloud platform only. They all are not running in on premises. So the huge demand has come where you need to learn even the cloud also. And of course, in our course, whatever the servers which I'll be using it, everything I'll be using in the cloud account. So I'll be using cloud account, either AWS or Azure. I'll be using it. For some days I'll be using AWS, or and few other days I'll be using Azure, right? So now, so for this, what I have to do that, right? We need to have some two virtual machines. I need to have two virtual machines to install and everything. So I will take one machine. Sorry, I will take one machine out of these two machines. One VM I will take to install the Ansible, and another VM, one other VM, I will make it as a node one. Am I clear on this, sir? For this to create, let me do one thing. Let me take my Azure account itself. I will do everything in my Azure cloud itself today. In tomorrow's session, we will see about how to do it in AWS account. Am I clear? So now, same thing, like let us have the MS Paint. I think I have to again follow the clip art. So I will go with the Ubuntu itself. Okay, before that I need to have a server, right? So let me have the server. I'll take some other images. So I have this server. So consider this as a server where I'll be installing an Ansible, right? And the other one, this is a server where I will be installing, I'll be making this as a node actually. So consider I'm taking only one node actually, right? So you can even say this as a node one and node two, right? Anything, right? Or this you can call as an Ansible control server or control node. So let me call this as an Ansible control node, Ansible control server, I'll say. And this is nothing but the node one. You can give any name actually, node one, right? And the golden, sorry, not golden rule. And we know that actually in both this, I'll be choosing Ubuntu itself for both this operating system, right? I'll be choosing Ubuntu itself. You can have even Red Hat also, you can have even SUSE, anything you can have guys actually. So, but consider that here I'm having the Ubuntu operating system itself on both these servers actually. And of course, like you need to have a Python also. Sorry, you need to have Python on both these machines. So that also anyhow, you need not to really do it actually. right? Okay, okay, I think, right? Python is installed, and what else you need? Okay, I need an Ansible, so I'll be installing Ansible, right? So this is what I'll be installing Ansible on top of it. Am I clear, sir? This is what we'll be doing it actually. So for this, what I will do, I'll take an Azure account, Azure Cloud. I'll quickly log into the Azure Cloud, and then like we'll try to do it. So today we'll do it in Azure. Tomorrow we'll do it in AWS actually. So portal.azure.com. That's what the URL you have to provide to log into your Azure account. So already that authentication and all has happened, guys. Right? Everything has happened so that I'm able to directly log into this page where you will see the dashboard of your Microsoft Azure. So here you could see that there's something like a virtual machines. So whenever you want to create the virtual machines or VMs, you have to go with this service name, virtual machines. So click on this, or else you can even go and type it here, virtual machines. So you could see that it will show you this icon. So just click on this. Right here, what happened? It will take you to the page where you can start creating the virtual machine. So if you go here and if you click on the create, and you could see that Azure virtual machine is there. So if you just click on this, right, it will take you to a page where you need to give some kind of a details for you to create it. So here what happened, I'm under the Azure subscription one. It means that it's a pay as you go. And let me first create a resource group. So you have to always create a resource group actually. So let me give some name. I'll give the name as something like Ansible as a group itself, resource group. Let me create it. So can you see here, you are created here in it. Now here what happened, guys, I have to create these two nodes, Ansible control node as well as a node one. Both these nodes I have to create. Both these servers can you create. Shall I create one by one, or can I create at a time? You can create at a time also. Say for example, if I give the name something like a node, I'm giving a node name. So here the region is Asia Pacific Central India. Availability zone. So availability zone is there, but let me not create here because I need zones actually. Oh, zone is here. Can you see a zone is there? So what you do that if you, so availability zone is there, and if you come down, you could see that is zone one. Again, I will try to take in a zone two also. So when you try to take a zone one and zone two, right here, you try to choose zone and zone two, it means that you are creating two servers actually. So can you see here? Node 1, node 2. It will give the by default name as a node 1. It means that directly you're creating two servers. One will be created in a zone 1 and other server will be created in node zone 2. So this is how you are creating two servers at a time, right? So once you give it, what are the other things you have to give? Okay, Asia Pacific Central. Okay, available zone is there, fine. So you have selected zone 1, zone 2. If you're selecting third also, three servers will be created. So right now I don't need three, I want only two. I've just selected these two zones actually. Okay, fine. So tomorrow you'll say that Rajesh, I want to create some 100 servers, right? How you do it? In this case, what happened? The max you can only create three itself because it's showing three zones. Suppose you want to create 100 servers, actually, then you need to automate it. You need to write some kind of you need to call an Azure CLI command. Through Azure CLI command, you can able to create n number of servers you need it. Here, what happened? Your GUI is not giving full complete control. It means that it is not providing the facility where you can create a number of servers. But can I do everything through Azure CLI? Yeah, you can do it through. If you want to create at a shot 100 servers, right, you can write an Azure CLI command so that it will going to create it. How to do that? Again, we will see in later point. Don't worry now. Okay. So now you have created this two servers. So you are given a zone actually. Come down here. Always the security type should always be trusted launch virtual machine itself. This should be there. Okay. You can, you can go with the standard, but let it be this one, right? And then images, which is the Ubuntu, which is the image operating system image which you are choosing. So as per our diagram, guys, we are choosing the Ubuntu itself. So if you go here, can you see it is showing you as a Ubuntu 24.04. You can even select 22.04 or 20.04 or it is. Let me go to the latest of 24.04 itself actually. And which is the x86 and the generation 2. Yeah, let it be as it is. Oh, this is the latest Ubuntu Linux version which you are having, 24.04, right? And come down, it is selecting by default x86. Let it be as it is. I don't want ARM64, right? And after that, guys, here you have to choose some kind of a size actually. Now, because guys, because I'm installing Ansible and all, does Ansible really need any kind of a high server configuration? As like other DevOps tools required. Say, for example, you need a Jenkins, or you have a Docker, or you have Kubernetes. All these tools require a very high configuration servers. It means that it needs more RAM memory, it needs more virtual CPU. Do the same thing is even for Ansible? Not really, guys. Ansible doesn't need that kind of high configuration. Even if you're installing Ansible in just 1 GB of RAM memory and one virtual CPU, that is also sufficient. It means that your Ansible even will work on this very lowest configuration. Also, it will work actually. So that's the reason what happened. One of the very easy way of learning Ansible, and it will not really take more, no, it will not going to burn your pocket. Is one of the tool is nothing but your Ansible. Ansible doesn't need any high config servers. You can learn all the Ansible concept, even from the first day to the last day, which we'll be covering. You can practice everything to the through the standard B1S only. So here in this case, in case of Azure, you will be choosing something like standard B1S server. So which is the lowest or which is the free tier. It means that you don't have to pay any money at all. 740 hours of free will be provided by Azure for 1 year. So it means that you need to literally pay a single penny also. If I'm choosing this server, I will not be paying any. It will come under the free eligible tribal only. Free service eligible only. Right? Same thing with in case of AWS, we'll be using something like T2.micro. So this is the free tier where if I use this server for nearly for 740 hours or 720 hours per month, literally I'll not be charged. It is free for me. So you will not be using that much, guys. For this server, the whole 1 month, 720 hours. Do you think that I'll be using 720 hours? No. Hardly every day you'll be practicing 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours max. That is also more only if you right. And the whole 1 month, if you cover, no, you will not even cover like 90 hours also or 100 hours also, right? 1 month. Or else if you are really want to keenly learn everything and everything in 1 minute, maybe you might be spending around some 5 6 hours, then also you'll not be you'll not be finishing the 720 hours. So literally you'll not be paying any money, everything can learn with a free of cost only, right? So that's how, right? And come back here, right? Now here what happened, I have chosen this one. So what is the authentication method you need? I need a username and the password stuff. So let me go with the password option. I'll give some username. Say that let me give some username, something like what's the username? I can give anything. I can give my name or I can give your name or else I can give Kiran name or Sharan, anybody's name. But let me don't think, let me give some name, something like an Ansible ADM admin. I'll give this name, Ansible admin. Let me give the password. Okay. And what about the inbound ports? So which you have to select, SSH is sufficient for us. I don't need any other thing. Okay, SSH. And after that, I'll go with the next, right? Option is next is a disk actually. Is any other thing which you have to configure here? Nothing else. It by default give the 30 GB of your host disk. Okay. Next is nothing but your networking. Anything else is required for the networking? Let's see whether this and all I need to really touch. If you come down, it is using by default something like Azure Load Balancer. Right now, I don't want to go with the load balancer. I'll go with the none. So I don't need the load balancer at all. Okay. And then like any other thing is required, nothing. Next to management, nothing. So I'm not touching anything, guys. I'll be directly going with the review plus create. And I'll be giving with the create. So once the validation completes, so running final validation, if it is passed, yeah, it is passed, then what happened, you'll get an option of creating it actually. So if you click on it, it'll start creating it. So here, as I said, right, it'll be creating two nodes actually. One is nothing but the node one, like usually it will be creating in a zone one, right? And the one more is there, which you have given something like node two. Node two server, it will be creating in under the zone two. So directly, right, I'm creating these two servers, right? So if you go over here, I think it is still creating it. So you could see that, guys, you could see that node one has created everything. Even you could see that node two is getting created now. So both these have been created. Can you see here now? It has been completed. The deployment is completed, right? If you go to the resources, if you click on these resources, it will take you to the page where you will see the node one and node two. Or else if you go back to the home and if you go to the virtual machines service, can you see something like node 1 and node 2 here? Yeah, these two servers. Yes. Am I clear on this, sir? So now, so how do you verify the details? So if you click on this node 1, it will take you to the overview where you will see the details about the node 1. So I need a public IP address. Can you see there's a public IP address for the node 1? What about the private IP addresses? If you come down, Can you see there is something like a private IP address 10.0.0.4? Yeah, this is a private address. So this is a private IP address and this is a public IP address. Right? And what is a virtual network under which it is created? This is a virtual network and the subnet it has created, right? Same thing if you go back, to the virtual machines, and if you try to go to the node 2, same story. So if you go to the node 2, click on it, it will take you to the overview where you can check the public IP. Let's wait, it will give you assign the public IP. So refresh it. Or else it is yet to get it. Just wait for some time, or else I'll go back here and I've tried to click on node 2. Yeah, you will get it very soon. Okay, why it has not come? No, it is not yet assigned. Why? Strange. Okay, why it is not assigned? Okay. Or else do one thing, guys. Let me create one more server. Okay, quickly, so that I need a public IP, right? So that is not yet given. Let me check one more time. Why it is not given? It has to assign. Okay, let me do then. Let me quickly create one more. So let me go and create the Azure virtual machine. Let me create under the same Ansible resource group, and let me give the name as I'll create this as an Ansible server actually. So where I'll be installing Ansible, right? Ansible server. Come down here. Okay, I'm not giving any space for anything, and you let it be Ubuntu 24.04, and let it be a standard B1S. I don't need anything. Password. The username is Ansible ADM admin, and I'll give the password. I'll have to set the username and the password. Strange. Okay, allow the port number 22 port is fine for me. Next, next. Any other thing is required, none is the next. I'll not do anything. I'll just go with the review and create, and finally I will say create. Okay. So here, guys, what I did, right? As part of this, while creating in Ubuntu, while creating in Azure, I gave some username. I gave the username as something like a, what is it username? Ansible ADM. And I've set some password. What is it? Password. Sorry. Right? Something I've given something like 1, 2, 3, 4. Some password I've set. So even for this server also, I give the same username. Even for this server also, node 1, node 2, I'm giving the same username. So I'm giving some common username and password for it actually. Am I clear on this, sir? So this is how I gave some username and password for these two servers. So let's see here. Okay, it has created. Let us go to the resource, and you could see that it has assigned a public IP. So if you go back to your home and if you go back to the virtual machines, so can you see there is something, a node 1 is there where it has some public IP. There's a node 2 is there. Sorry, there's one more server is there. No, there's an Ansible server where you have public IP. So I have these two servers. So consider this as an Ansible server where I'll be installing Ansible software, and consider this as a node 1 where it will be acting like a node where you'll be running some software or you'll be installing some package or something here. Am I clear on this, sir? So shall we log into this server? Yes. So to log into the server, so what I will do that, I will just click on this Ansible server. And what I will do that, I will just copy this public IP, right? And I will do one thing, I will open a terminal. So because this is nothing but a Windows terminal, PowerShell terminal, I will open this. So let me open in the run as an administrator. So I'll open this, right? So now here, guys, what I will do, I will try to do an SSH. SSH, because it's a Linux machine, I have to use a SSH command. SSH, what's the username? Ansible ADM, Ansible admin @ give the public IP, right? And I'll say enter. So it'll create a fingerprint. Do you want to generate? Yes, I'll say yes. It'll ask me for the password. Let me give the password so that I'll be able to log into that server. See, I'm able to log into this server. So basically, this is the Ubuntu server, guys, right? So let me increase the font. And if you want it, I think it's already there. If you want to rename the tab, I can just say Ansible control server, something. I'll give the tab like this. Clear? So I want to even log into the node 1 also, right? Go back to the virtual machine. So you have a node 1, click on this node 1, you will get the public IP, copy this public IP, go over here, open one more tab here, like this. And let me increase this one. Let me give some name as something like a node 1. So this is I have renamed this tab actually, and then I'll just say SSH, the same name, Ansible ADM @ give the public IP address of the node 1. Copy the public IP, give here and say enter. So I'll say yes. And then like it'll ask me for give the password. So let me give the password. So you're able to log in into the node 1. Guys, so both these servers, node 1 and node 2 are Ubuntu Linux servers. Am I clear on this? Right? Now, the first command always you want to run is the sudo apt update. So this is the first command you want to run on both these servers because both are Linux, Ubuntu Linux. It is always that you need to run this sudo apt update. So sudo apt update is going to update all your packages, everything, all updated packages, everything is going to update it actually. So if you do sudo apt updates, you could see that it is doing some operation. Same thing if I try to do a sudo apt update. Don't worry, guys. I might be explaining some extra things today. Don't worry. We'll slowly revisit again, and I'll be explaining in more detail about all these commands and everything, whatever I'm doing. Right now, what we're doing that we are trying to do an installation of the Ansible. Right. So now, according to this diagram, the prerequisite for installing Ansible here, at least in this case, is Python should be there actually. And even in the node 1 also, like there's an expectation that you need to have a Python. So shall we go to the Ansible control node here? You have to clear the screen, CLER, clear the screen, and just try to run a Python -FN version. So you could see that actually there's a no Python font, but it says that can you check the Python 3? Let me check the Python 3 if it is there or not. The Python -FN version. Can you see that Python 3.12 is installed already? Same thing in a node 2. Can you check it out? Python 3-FN version. Here also the Python is installed. So it means that guys, you need to really go and install the Python. Already the Python is installed in the system itself. Am I clear, sir? Now, whenever we want to communicate between these two machines, we should always have some kind of a user actually, or the user account. So already what happened while creating the server itself, I gave a username by name Ansible admin. Here also an Ansible admin. So you have some common username between these two servers actually. So the name of the common is something like an Ansible admin. So guys, whenever in your Linux system, or suppose assume that in your Windows, you want to install some packages, you need to install the packages or nothing but the softwares you want to install. How you can install the softwares or how you can install the packages in your Windows? If you're having an administrator privilege, or if you are an administrator of your machine, then you will get the full privilege actually. You'll get a full privilege to install any kind of a softwares. Same thing in case of Linux. Whenever you want to install any package, configure anything, okay, then what is happening that you should either have a root user account. Root user account is required, or you need to have something as a sudo user. So whichever user which has a sudo permission, that sudo permission user can install the softwares or it can install the application. Anything, whatever the package or software, it has to be installed in Linux means it should be a sudo user or it should be a root user. So generally in organization, what happened, right? You will not get root user access because root user access, your admin will not provide it. So what they will do that they will create some user account, and that user account they will make it as a sudo user. Say for example, here in this case, assume that you are having a user by name Ansible admin. Ansible admin they will provide the sudo permissions actually. So that with the help of an Ansible admin user also, you can install any package, you can install any software, or you can configure any kind of a configuration file. Can be done with the help of the sudo user. So now what happened, right? When you are creating this machines in Azure, when you're creating this virtual machine, like here in this case, Ansible server node 1, if you're creating these servers and with whichever username which you created, right? Say, for example, while creating it, I gave the username as something like an Ansible admin, the ADM, right? By default, what Azure will do that, he will make this user as a sudo user actually. It will make it as a sudo user. It means that it has all kind of a root, root privileges it will have. Same thing what happened in case of your Azure, or sorry, in case of AWS also, when you try to create a users, or if when you're trying to create a virtual boxes or virtual machines in AWS, you'll get some users, and that user by default will be a sudo user. Same thing with the GCP, same thing with the no, with the DigitalOcean, same thing with the Alibaba cloud. You take any cloud, whenever you create any virtual machines, that virtual, when you're creating that virtual machine, it gives you it provides some usernames actually, and that username by default it will be a sudo user. Am I clear on this, sir? So did you understood the statement whatever I said? Kiran, Chanakya, did you understood? Daniel, Dan,
Yes, sir.
any doubts or anything going on your mind? Are you feeling any difficulty in understanding? So when you create any virtual machines, any cloud, whatever the default user it provides to you, that would be a sudo user. It will be always be a sudo user only. So it means that Rajesh, it means that you need to have some user. Yeah, man, you need to have some user. Without user, how you communicate it actually? Right? User logo. You need to have some user, sir. And that user by default, it is not, but here in this case, uh, it is nothing but a Ansible user only here. And whatever you created, no? Ansible admin. This is the user by default will come. Here also I created user with the name same Ansible admin. So tomorrow Dan is creating, he'll give the name as a Dan. So Dan will be a sudo user. Same thing, Sharan will be a sudo user. If he's creating a server with by giving Sharan as a username. So whichever name you give, by default it will consider that name as a sudo user and it will create it. So Rajesh, in that case, can I log into the root user? Yeah, I can always switch, sir. Because who am I? If I give who am I, you will see that he is an admin, a Ansible admin. This is a username, right? So if I want to switch to the root user, I'll just say sudo su-i root. See, I switch to the root user. So you can switch to the root user, you can set the user and password, everything can do it. That we can do it later, not now. So, but what happened, right? From the sudo user, you can switch to the root user without any issues. So right now, I'm not doing any operation as a root user. Let me exit. Let me exit out from the root user. Am I clear, sir? Very good. So now what you will do that, you will first now, Rajesh, you will take that, Rajesh, this is an Ansible control node. Yes, sir. Now I want to install an Ansible here. So the first thing is that Python is already installed. I need not to worry. Python 3 is there. So I need to install the Ansible. So what you will say that installing Ansible. Just type in the Google. If you just click on this installing Ansible, you will get an official website, docs.ansible.com. So this is the official website we need to always follow for installation of the Ansible. So if you click on it, if you open this, if you go through this documentation, they have given about how to install an Ansible, upgrading Ansible and all. If you come down, and you will also see that installing a develop from GitHub, pip and all. And if you come down, more or less, they have given the step of installing the Ansible through the pip command. It's a Python, like a package command with the help of a Python pip package. Through that, he's trying to install it. So where this installation step is used, guys. So this is mostly used by the developers. Suppose the developers want to write any kind of a Python Ansible models they want to write down, they'll be following this step for doing it installation and uninstallation or upgrade. So in our case, what we can do, suppose we are a DevOps engineer, I want to install Ansible. I will not go through this method of whatever it is showing in this page. I am not really worried about this. I want to have a very simple plain steps I need. So for that, what you will do that, can you see if I try to run installing Ansible, you could also get a link here, installing Ansible on a specific OS. So this is what it is. If you try to open this link, see, installing an OS onto the specific distribution, like it says like this. Yeah. There will be the distribution ways I have to go. So can you see here? Installing Ansible on Ubuntu. Click on this. See, this is the step they have given it. So this is the fourth step you need to follow to install an Ansible on Ubuntu. So copy this and you can just paste it over here. Right. I think I don't need this dollar. So these are the 4 commands. You need to just execute this serially one by one. So I'll copy this command. I'll go to this node. So this is my Ansible server node. I'll just paste this command. Okay, it is run. It'll run. And then I'll try to run this one. Run this command, second command, the third command, and fourth also I'll just say -fn yes command. I'll try to copy this third command. So you sudo have to always use because you are running everything as a Ansible admin. He's a sudo user. So always for any command, you should always start with the sudo. For the root user, sudo is not required. For other user, apart from root user, any other sudo user, you need to always insert a sudo as a command before. So third command, and finally the fourth command. So guys, please make sure that you are installing everything to the Ansible control server. Here you are installing it. This is node 1. In node 1, nothing. Python is installed. That's all. No other thing. But whereas this server, you are considering it as a Ansible control node. So here you have to install the Ansible. So the last command is installing Ansible. Okay. So let it install. So let us write the steps. What are the steps, guys? You followed it. Launch to virtual machines. That is Ubuntu 24.04 VMS. After that, what you do? Ensure Python is installed. So how you do it? By executing command Python 3-fn version. That we know it actually, right? These are command, we checked it out. Right. Afterwards, now after the virtual machine is get, now you have to do an SSH. This is not the login. You have to do login into the servers, into the VMs, where we have to install Ansible. So for installing Ansible, you need to you can refer the link. So which is the link you have to refer, guys, for installing Ansible? Sorry, you have to refer to this link. So come over here. I'll just try to, because you are following Ubuntu, that's what I'm getting into this page. Suppose you want to install on Red Hat. So there is some APL is there, or else you can even for the Fedora Linux, right? So right now I'm doing here. So I'm just following this link actually. Okay. So this is what the documentation you follow. So this is for the installation steps. You can refer the link to install to follow installation step. So guys, I'll take 10 more minutes, then we'll try to wind up. Okay. Anything is required, that's all. Right. And what is the step? I think I already copy pasted it. Let me cut this one. And let me try to copy it here so that we'll get everything here itself in one place. Am I clear on, sir? So we have run all the commands actually, right? So now here, if you go back here and you could see that your Ansible is installed, how to verify it? To verify it, you have to run a command Ansible, ANSI, Ansible-fn version. If you execute this command, you will see that this is what the output you will get actually. So if you're getting this output, it means that Ansible is installed in your system. Can you see Ansible? And it's saying that code 2.17.7. It is using some configuration file. What is etc Ansible, Ansible.cfg? We'll see tomorrow. Don't worry. It is using something like a module search path. This is what the default module path it is saying. So it is using something like a Python version 3.12.3. Right? If you try to verify what is a Python version you're having in your system, can you check it is Python 3.12. The same Python it is using? Yes. Where it is there, the Python code, it is there in /usr bin. Okay. Ansible collection or Ansible Galaxy, this is the path actually. Ansible model, this is a path. So there are various other informations are there, which you are seeing it when you're trying to execute this command. Right? All these things we'll be discussing in tomorrow's session. Don't worry. These are very interesting. And this we have to know because when you started working on Ansible, we need to know all these things very much in a very in detailed manner. We need to have an information, right? So this is all fine. Okay. Now the thing is that, guys, as I said right in yesterday's session, that like what are the prerequisite software you need it? You need a virtual, you need a Visual Studio Code, you need a Git, you need a Azure AWS CLI, Azure CLI, and also you need to have these accounts actually, right? Now the thing is that why we need a Visual Studio Code. So we need a Visual Studio Code because that when I'm trying to work on, when I'm writing the playbook file, I will be using Visual Studio Code itself actually. Some people might say that I don't know how to use the Visual Studio Code, I never worked on it. Don't worry, guys. Need not to worry. Like you, once you install the Visual Studio Code, I will from tomorrow's session I'll be showing you how to use the Visual Studio Code and how to write and everything, how to save the file, what are the things which you have to do, what are the plugins you have to install. All such things we'll see it in tomorrow's session, right? But what I'm trying to tell that actually that you should be very intelligent now to understand. Okay, something Rajesh is saying. Let me do one thing. Let me try to follow something like a Visual Studio cheat code actually, cheat sheet actually. So it always go it. So based on the operating system, it will give you like this is the Windows based operating system, right? Which in my system, right? So basically we follow this link actually where they have given some kind of cheat sheet. These are the cheat sheet actually. So you can follow this cheat sheet. You should always take a printout and you can have to follow. This is a shortcut actually. So always, whenever you're learning anything, always you have to download the cheat sheet. Say, for example, if you are learning Git, I have to have a Git cheat sheet. When I'm learning Docker, I need to have a Docker cheat sheet. When I'm learning Kubernetes, you need to have a Kubernetes. So all kind of a command shortcuts ways, everything you will get everything to cheat sheet only. So cheat sheet is something where you'll give a very like a descriptive way of how to use those commands, all the tools related commands, right? And what are the options it provides and how you will get a lot of details from the cheat sheet only. Always you have to make a habit of always going through cheat sheet only. It is better to always take a Xerox and keep it with you so that you will, if you view it, you'll understand it. Same thing. I don't think so that you have an Ansible cheat sheet actually, because I've never seen. But anyway, you'll see Ansible cheat sheet. No, not sure. Like okay, you might get it, but not that much. But still okay, because I have never found Ansible cheat sheet being used heavily. But okay, these are the commands actually. No, we don't have something like cheat sheet and all. What are the other things? Let me see it. No, guys, see, you won't have any kind of a cheat sheet actually. You won't get it so easily. Ansible is only one exception where you will not get cheat sheet, but otherwise, rest all other tools like it could be Docker, Kubernetes, it could be Jenkins, anywhere you will get the cheat sheet actually, right? That is there. Uh, Fine, guys. So this is something which you need to be aware of actually. Now, the thing is that some of you are not aware of some commands. Say, for example, like I was running something like a sudo apt update, sudo apt install Ansible. So, what you need to do, if some of you are not aware of it, this is nothing but the apt packaging manager in Ubuntu or in Debian distribution. So, whenever you're seeing anything, something new command, first you need to Google it out. What is this apt manager is all about, right? Or else you have to do something known like a apt -fn help. So once you log into the Linux, Windows Ubuntu Linux, you have to just run apt-fn help. If you run it, it will give you various options of what is this apt is all about. What are the options are there to make use of the app? You will get some information from this, like this, or else you can even go with the man of apt apt. It will take you to the manual page also. So guys who are very good at Linux, I don't think that I have to tell all these things, but some people who are not aware of Linux or who are having very basic knowledge of Linux, I think you have to do a little bit, you have to work around, you have to dig it. Or else you can go through my playlist in my YouTube channel at Rajesh-Devops. There you have something like uh, Linux shell scripting, right? 2023, I think. You can go to the video. There are 21 videos are there. Please follow that video. You'll be able to understand on the Linux concept. So I expect that all of you know Linux very well. That's what I'm just assuming with that I'm going. I'm not teaching anything on Linux command here, right? So because when I'm trying to do many things, right, you should be able to follow up whatever I'm doing. If you're not following up, just interrupt me in between. Say that Rajesh, I'm not understanding this. Can you explain it, or can you please clarify all the doubts, or give a clarity picture of what you're doing? So I will stop it. I'll first clarify your doubts, then only will go further. Others, what happened? That small doubts will be keep piling up in your mind. And if it is not getting resolved right day to day, and you are also not trying out to find out, then it becomes a very big mess. It means that everything will look very, very difficult for you to understand. right? Don't allow that stage where things become very very complex to understand. No, all these things are very very simple only, right? So those guys who are very good in Linux or who are aware of Linux or worked on it, for them there is no problem of this one. People are very new to Linux and they know anything about Linux very well much, or they work mostly on Windows operating system. For them this will be little bit tricky or little bit complex, they'll feel at the very beginning. So guys, I hope that the new joinees, whoever the new join, right, Chanakya and other people, right, like I don't think that you have this kind of issues, right? Just confirm me before getting into the next thing. Chanakya, do you have any doubts, guys? I think,
No, sir, no, I don't have any doubts.
yeah.
Like I know like the basic Linux commands, and so if any, like
Okay,
I'm also
but
2023
okay.
Ansible classes. So if anything comes up, like I can ask you.
Correct. But that's what I'm saying, that you should be aware of it. Like, that's all, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Whatever
okay,
I'm
sir.
doing, you should understand it. It should not be something you should not feel like difficulty on whatever I'm saying. I know I'm little faster. I'll slow down my pace also. But what I'm trying to tell that you have to understand whatever I'm saying. If not now, at least in a recording, when you go to recording, you should understand. Still, if you have a doubt, still something, please get back to me, sir. It's always important that you get back to me, ask questions, get clarified everything, and then only you proceed further.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay, thank you, man. Now, okay. Now the thing is, say why I'm saying, because say for example, assume that I'm into the Ansible control server. So let me quit from it. What happened, man? Yeah, I'm quitting from it. Now assume that I want to run some playbook file. So I'm just saying, you just see what I'm doing. I'm not executing really. Ansible hyphen playbook hyphen I host file hyphen VVV. Something I'll write some playbook file with the name playbook.yaml or hello.yaml, anything. Now, tomorrow when I'm doing anything, you should not ask anything, Rajesh, what is I hyphen V option and all. Right? Because this is something like a command I'm executing, guys. This is the Ansible command which I'm executing. Now, if you want to really understand what is hyphen I hyphen V, anyhow, I will tell in the class. I have to tell all these things in the class. But what I am trying to tell that you should be very intelligent that if you're trying to do it, what you have to do is Ansible hyphen playbook hyphen help. You have to give like this. If you do it like this, or you will get to know, okay, why Rajesh is using hyphen V option, or it's a verbose. So basically it is used for debugging purpose. Okay, hyphen triple V or 4V or 5V is using like this. You have to go to the manual page. What about the hyphen I option, which Rajesh was using? Anyway, I'll tell in the class. What I'm trying to tell that actually, it is not that difficult to understand. You have to only do some kind of a research you have to do so that you will get the information. See, hyphen I means inventory. So when I'm trying to execute this command, Ansible playbook hyphen Ansible playbook hyphen I host hyphen VVV, sorry, VVV, and then like write some inform, mention about some playbook file like this. So don't worry, these are all command line options which you will be learning it. But what happened, there are many other options are there which you have to dig through the help menu, or else through the manual page only you have to go through it. So that also I will cover. I will try to at most make sure that 90 to 95% all the options, commands, everything I will cover in the class itself. But still, it's your duty also to verify everything, to go through everything through the documentation. Right? I think I should not without space hyphen I post like this. Correct, sir? Yeah, this anyhow we will be learning. No worries. Right? Okay, good, very good. Now, one quick thing, one quick thing, then we'll wind up the class, today's class. I know today's was a little bit long, lengthy. So let's check whether, let's check. So we'll be learning everything about, guys, this also how to use a Visual Studio Code. Don't worry, but I'm trying to tell that in my class, when you're writing a playbook file, we will be following we'll be writing all the playbook file with the help of a Visual Studio Code or any other editor, Atom editor or any other editors. Visual Studio Code is one of the very famous editor which are even used by both developers as well as even for the DevOps engine also. Even the DevOps engine also uses religiously, they'll use this Visual Studio Code even at their workplace. So even we should start using this from the day one onwards, because in the real time, everyone are using in the industry also, they're using Visual Studio Code only. And it has more and more benefits. It has a lot of advantage there, and also you'll get to know about art of writing any kind of programming skill set, everything through the Visual Studio Code itself. So that's the reason we all have to go through this Visual Studio Code. I mean, you have to learn and you have to practice a lot and you have to do all the operation through the Visual Studio Code only. Now, what is our operation? Now, let's check whether Ansible connects to the node 1. So in this case, what I'm to tell that, let's check whether the Ansible, it can actually communicate or connect to the node 1. So the first basic rule is that actually that both the servers, whenever they want to communicate each other, they can communicate with each other with the help of a username and the password. They can communicate each other with the help of the username and the key. They can even communicate with the help of username and the secret file. Even they can communicate each other with the help of a passwordless authentication. Anyway, they can communicate each other. But the basic rule, the ground rule is that both the servers should be in the same common network. Assume that this is a common network. So both should be there under some common network. There have to be in some common network. Without a common network, they cannot communicate each other, right? There has to be some common network, right? Am I clear, sir? Right? Now the thing is that how you can able to check whether I'm able to reach from the Ansible control to the node 1 or not. So what you will do, you are under the Ansible server here. Can you do one thing? Here what happened for the node 1, the host name itself is a node 1 actually, right? Host name. So can I sit here and can I try to do a NS lookup node 1 check? So it is not able to find out, right? Because it is not able to resolve it. There is nothing like a DNS, right? But if you go over here into our virtual machine, and if I go to the node 1, right? And if you come down, can you see something like a private IP? Yeah, try to copy this private IP, come here and try to do a ping to this private IP. Check whether the ping is happening or not. Can you see here, guys? The ping is happening. So in this way, you will be confirming that your Ansible server is able to reach to the node 1. So vice versa, is it required, guys, that node 1 should reach to the Ansible? Not really required, because here what happened in this case, Ansible is trying to log into this node 1 and it is doing some operations. So it has to do a login. So first to log in it, first it has to verify whether I'm able to reach it to or not. If it is not able to reach it, then there's no point, right? With the username and password, right? First, it has to ping it. If it is ping is successful, then it means that there is a connectivity. There's a network connectivity is there between the Ansible control node or the Ansible control server to the node 1. There's a connection is there actually. So now what happened when it is able to reach out, then I can use some username and password for login to this machine. Am I clear on this, sir? Right? And if you go here, it'll be keep pinging. I think if I say ping node 1, I think I can't do it actually, right? We cannot ping it, right? Or you cannot even use a NS lookup also, because that's not there. So what I can do, just for a fix, actually, I can open the etc sudo vi etc host file, right? Host file is there. Open this file, come over here, and just say node 1 space, give the IP address 10.0. So this is the node 1's IP address. Save this file. Now if you try to do a ping to node 1, it will work or not, let's see. So it is not working. You need to do some other fix also for doing it. Usually it has to do it actually, right? So it has to do it actually. NS lookup node 1, it is not able to resolve it, right? So it is not able to resolve it. We'll try to fix this. How to fix this and all, I will tell you later. But this is one of the things where you can write it down into the host file. You can add it out. It has to start pinging it, but it is not pinging means you have to fix a certain issue. What is it? I will tell you later. Don't worry now, right? Checks whether the IP editor is running or not. Yeah, this is running. Am I clear on this, sir? Now the point here is that actually that you have started pinging from your Ansible control server to the node 1. So how to ping it? Ping 10.0.0. What is it? 5 or 4? What is it? Node 1 private IP address is 4 actually, right? You're able to ping it. It means that you're able to reach it out. Right? Right? So it means that Ansible is able to reach it out. Now you will say that Rajesh, I'm able to ping from my Ansible server to the node 1, I'm able to ping it. But I want to do the same thing with the Ansible. So with the help of an Ansible, it should be able to ping whether that server is reachable or not. So how do you do that? So for that, what you have to do that, guys, you have to use the Ansible command with the -i option, host file, okay, and then like you have to use a model by name -m, ping, and say all. So here what happened, right? You need to have some file name by name host file. So let me do one thing, let me do a control C, right? Let me do a control C. First, I will try to create a file by name VI host file. Give the IP address 10.0.0.5. So 5, right? Yeah, 10.0.0.4, sorry. So this is the host IP, this is the IP address of the node 1, right? So I'm trying to save this content. So here what happened, guys? I use the VI command to create a host file. Under this, I just added this IP address 10.0.0.4, which is number the node 1 IP address. And I'll try to save this file. Shift colon WQ exclamatory. So if you do a cat of host, yeah, this file is, this content is there. Okay, fine. I think, okay, let me remove this space also. I don't need it. Okay, now with the help of an Ansible, I will do it actually. When I do an Ansible -i host file -m ping, I'll just say all. Let's see whether Ansible will ping or not. So it means that with the help of an Ansible command, I will, if whether I'm able to reach to this node 1 or not, I'm just checking that one. Enter. So I'll say yes. So it says that it is unreachable. So why it is unreachable, guys? Because that you know that whenever the communication happen between the node or from the control server to the node, right? It always the communication happen with the username and the password. So are you sending any kind of a password, username and password details here in this command line? No. So then what happened? Ansible is not able to reach out because it is not able to log into the server only. It is not able to do an SSH to the server. Hence what happened? This command is getting failed, saying that unreachable. Now how to fix it? Basically what you're doing that here, I'm having user by name Ansible admin ADM, right, in the Ansible server. Same thing in the node 1 also, I'm having the same username. So there's a common username is already there. I need not to really create any kind of other common user, right? Already some usernames are there. So what I have to do that by using the same user and by providing a password in the command line, can I able to communicate? Yes, sir, you can able to communicate. Now, how to do that actually? Sorry, I'm sorry, guys. So what you have to do that basically what you have to do is, guys, you have to go to the here into the Ansible control server, clear the screen. I'll just say Ansible -hyphen help. I'll just give it. Can you see there is something option by name K option -K option? Yeah, -K. Ask password. Ask for the connection password. Yeah. Can I use this option? Let's see. Yes, we'll use this option. So now the same command. Okay. Right. What I have to do here, guys? You have to just use some -K option here and say enter. It is asking for the password. Let me give the password. It is still reaching unreachable. Permission denied. Okay, I gave a wrong password. I think that's the reason. See, it is now showing as a success. So it means that this ping, the Ansible is able to ping to the node 1 with the help of this model by name ping model. So what we'll be learning from next class that what is this Ansible command is all about, what is this -i host, what is this M, what is this ping, all these things, guys, we're going to see in our next session. So, but right now, what you have to understand, okay, Ansible is able to communicate with the node 1 with the help of an Ansible command with some option, with something was -m. -m is model. I'm using a ping. But here what happened, right? Since it is, there is a user with password is there, I need to provide an -k option. -k option will ask you for the password. Which password? Sorry, it is asking the password for the node 1 password. So node 1 password, I know it actually. So I'm giving that password here itself in the command line. But in the real time, whenever you're doing some automation, when you're trying to run an automation means when you're trying to run through a CI/CD pipeline, do you think that while running a pipeline, you'll be sitting in the front of a system or you'll be sitting in the front of a system where the pipeline will work, run, and finally it'll ask you for the password, where you'll give the password? No, right? You will not be there for giving some password when you're running a pipeline. Everything, all the steps should be automated. It shouldn't ask any kind of a password why when you are trying to run any pipeline. In that case, how you are going to do? Okay, in that case, Rajesh, I have to do something like a passwordless authentication. Means without asking any password, it should be able to log into the system. So here, without asking any password, an Ansible control node has to log into the node one. And that is why with the help of something we call the passwordless authentication method, we need to follow it. So what is that passwordless authentication? We'll be seeing in tomorrow's session. So today what you're doing that the Ansible control server is logging to the node one with the help of a password, because I have a username, general username by name Ansible admin. Okay, I have a password 1234. So while running an Ansible command like this, Ansible -i host -m ping, right? If you're using -k option, it asks you for the password. But so with what username? Oh, this is a username. With what password? What is set? You have set the password, right? When you're executing that, now what happened? The ping has started working. It means that your Ansible has started pinging. It is verifying whether I'm able to reach from this machine to this machine. Am I clear, sir? So that's all about today's session, guys. I hope that you understood today's session. So what we'll do tomorrow? Tomorrow we will see about. We'll continue from here itself. Like what is this Ansible about everything, and we'll also see about how to write a very simple playbook file, very dummy small playbook file. We'll write it. We'll also see how to run the playbook file, how to execute the playbook file, right? We are not really learning anything and much about the playbook file, just having a glimpse of something. It's something like if you see any language, if you want to learn any language, what they will say first, hey, go and write a hello world program. So in C or C++ or in Python or in Node.js, people will start writing first program as a uh, hello world program, right? Same thing like that. Tomorrow we'll be writing a very dummy playbook file tomorrow. It is not like that we have understood everything. We are just a beginner, but we have to only see how the playbook run, how it executes everything. That is what we'll be seeing in tomorrow session. So what would be our tomorrow session, guys? We will be continuing from here onwards. Continue from here means we will be learning about Ansible commands. Tomorrow we will be learning about the Ansible configurations also, configuration files. We will be learning about the Ansible, how to write first playbook file, how to write first playbook file, our first playbook file. Simple, but we are not really learning anything much. I just try to write a playbook and show you how it runs. That's all. You know to even worry also. Okay, you know to even you'll not be learning anything about playbook also tomorrow. But anyhow, we'll see it actually. And then like we will also be see about the Ansible models and ad hoc commands. So this ad hoc commands models and all, it'll take you around 2 to 3 sessions. It'll take us to underlearn, or max 2 sessions. It'll take us to understand it. Next 2 to 3 sessions, you will be learning only this actually. Am I clear, sir? So guys, I hope that you understood today's session. I know it was bit like I covered more today, but anyhow, like we understood about what is how to install the Python. No, sorry, how to install Ansible, and how to verify it, and what are the prerequisite needs, and also check the connectivity between one system to other system. It means that we check the connectivity from the Ansible control server to this node one, right? By just using simple model by name ping model -m ping model. With that, we try to learn it. Am I clear on, sir? So in our upcoming sessions, we will be learning about a lot of models. Many models are there which we need to be aware of. And one of the very important interview question, what they ask you that in an interview, that in an Ansible, how many models you know, or how many models in the real time you have used? Can you tell me at least some 10 to 15 models where you have worked in your project? So you should be able to tell it what are the models are there, what are the most frequent models which is used in a day-to-day activity. All the things you have to tell in interview. So with that, they will get a confidence on you that okay, he's aware of Ansible and how to write a playbook file also. Anyway, as part of our course, we'll be learning more than some 20, 30 models. But I'm just telling you that you should also be aware of many other models. Many new models are evolving every day. Every day, new models are coming in Ansible. So it's not like that we need to be aware, but we need to always open our eyes. Like you have to always open your eyes and see, check whether what kind of new things are coming. So tomorrow I'll be sharing you some websites where you need to be frequently you need to register that website. It means that you'll get all newsletters and all. And also like you need to frequently visit that website and see what are the new things which are coming in Ansible itself, particularly in Ansible, I'm saying. so that you will be aware of, okay, how things are happening in this Ansible, right? And how Ansible is fastly growing, and how many companies are adapting Ansible and they're using it. And it's quite interesting, all those articles and all those links, what I will show you tomorrow, right? It will be very benefit for you. Am I clear, sir? So guys, with that, I'm going to stop it today's session. Thank you guys. So tomorrow I'll be showing you again the Ansible installation, but this time I'll be very quick and I'll be showing you Ansible installation on AWS. The same thing, I'll be creating 2 servers and I'll be showcasing the same thing. But tomorrow, apart from that, we'll be learning many things about the Ansible configuration, to understand more about these configuration files and how to play with the command lines and all such things. We'll be seeing it. Quite interesting. Next 2-3 sessions, we'll be just setting up our base itself in Ansible. Right. So with that, guys, I'm going to stop the recording. So guys, before I stop the recording, let me know if you have any questions for today's session. Anybody have any kind of a doubts or any questions you have? Dan, Chanakya, Dave, Mahesh sir? Okay. Sharon, Vinod sir, any questions you have?
No, sir.
Okay. So today, did you understood whatever I said today?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Then let me stop the recording.